Tides. All right, tides, I want you to watch the Study Jams video. So people that are watching, Study Jams video on Edmodo. Pause. All right, so tides, you can watch the video, but I'm going to show you a quick, like if we were on the beach, so we're on the beach here on the coast of Georgia, and this is the moon, okay? So we've got our moon. We're at the beach. We get there, let's say we get there at, we're going to go really early. We're going to go there at 6 a.m.
Oh my gosh,
That's cold. It's still going to be maybe kind of dark out, but we get there, and we notice that the water level is really high up. It's like way far up on the beach. So we're thinking that it must be what time? What kind of tide? High tide. It's going way in. So that would mean that our Earth is facing the moon at that time. It's still daytime, but the sun's coming up. Our moon revolves around the Earth. It's a satellite. It takes a month for it to do that. But while it's there, what is our Earth doing?
Rotating.
Rotating. So, 6 a.m. I get there and the water level's way up high. That means the water's getting pulled by the moon. Directly across the Earth, over here in China, they're also experiencing high tide. People here on Hawaii and over here in Egypt, they're experiencing low tide. Okay? Now, 6 hours later, we were there at noon, or at 6. So now at noon, we are no longer facing the moon. So we would be experiencing low tide. And then the people here, high tide, and the people directly across in China would also be low tide. Now, 6 hours later, we're going to spend a long time at the beach. It's 6 p.m., Christian. It's 6 p.m. And what are we experiencing again? High tide. Then let's say we're going to sleep at the beach.
Oh my god.
Okay?
Oh, that would be
That's
awesome.
6 p.m. Now it's midnight. Low tide. And then if we were just going to sleep over and sun comes up next morning, high tide again. So there's 2 high tides and 2 low tides a day. Okay? Every 6 hours there's a different tide. Gets pulled out towards the moon and then comes back.
We should take a trip to the beach and see.
We should go to the beach.
Oh, that would be
that should
awesome.
be like
Now,
a field trip.
So in this picture, the side directly facing the moon has high tide and a cross, and the 2 in between are low tide. We call the difference between the tides a tidal range. So like if it came up 20 feet, if that was the highest, and then the low tide was 15 feet, what's the difference between those two?
5.
5.
Why does
A
it say
range is
negative?
a difference.
No, that's
20 minus 15 is 5.
Oh.
So tell me, if the high tide was 15 feet and the low tide was 12 feet, the tidal range would be 3. Good. Now, hopefully this doesn't confuse you. Twice a month, there's a special tide called a spring tide. It's when the Earth, moon, shoe fly, and the sun, I'm going to be the sun. It's when they're in a straight line. Now, sun has gravity, moon has gravity, okay? If we're in a straight line, we're creating a lot of gravity. So your high tides are going to be even higher than normal because we're both pulling. I'm stronger, but I'm a lot further away than the moon is. So we're both pulling on it. This would be a full moon or a new moon. Now, if I'm the sun, I'm shining on the moon. The moon would be totally lit up. We would see a full moon. In this position, so the moon goes around, I'm shining on this side of the moon. The people from Earth can see this side. It's black, it's dark. This would be new moon. So this would create a spring tide. Now, the opposite of that is this is spring tide, straight line. I always think spring, straight. You can think the S. A neap tide is the opposite. It's when we have the high tides are not that high. Because sun, earth, moon would either be here at first quarter or here at third. And it's kind of like, we're like at a right angle to each other. So I'm pulling, the moon's pulling that way. We're not working together. We're kind of like canceling each other out. This would be a neap tide. So this happens twice a month during first quarter and third quarter.
What if a springtime?
Now, last thing I want to tell you about tides. There are places on the world that have a huge tidal range. And if the low tide's all the way out, there could be no water. Can you guys see that picture there?
Yeah.
That's during low tide. Like that boat that used to be on water is sitting on the floor.
Oh, it looks super.
And then when the tide's all the way in, it's normal. This is called the Bay of Fundy. It's in Norway, I believe. I gotta look it up. I
Those
don't
are the
remember.
same?
That's the same place.
Oh.
Same picture, just 6 hours later. So some of you guys may have been to a place before, like where you've been able to walk out really far when it's low tide, and then when it's high
You have to go
tide,
back.
yeah, or you might be stuck if you go out on a sandbar. Have you ever had that happen? No. That just means like that's the tidal range, that big difference. All right, that's ocean motion.